It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Trav in Australia has sent us another beer from Deeds Brewing Company. And I'm rather excited about this one. It's called the Fourth Horseman Russian Imperial Stout. In fact, it just says Imperial Stout, so we'll go with that. It's a skeleton on a horse with a sheath. It's all black, it's all dark, it's all mystical. Some of the best Imperial Stouts I've had. I had a beer from Finland about a year ago. I think it was just over a year ago. And it was called the Raven. And it was another kind of the Raven Imperial Stout. And it was another black beer with a raven on and dark clouds. And if you think about Imperial Stouts, and if you let your imagination run with Imperial Stouts, then this is going to be on the label, isn't it? This is the style. This is what you want on the label when you're thinking about Imperial Stouts. Dark winter nights, skeletons riding on horses with sheets through the night. Let's get it out into a glass, see what we get. Australian craft beer then. Beer in the glass. Have a listen to that glug. That means it's got a fantastic, creamy, rich mouthfeel. Jet black beer in the glass. 2 to 3 finger. Tan coloured head. Good levels of slow moving carbonation. You can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm looking at this. I'm really excited. You can probably tell by the smile on my face as well that I'm looking at this rather excitedly. Oh yes, look at this. Look at this. It's very rare for me. I'm reviewing beer in the night. It's 7 minutes past 7 on a Sunday evening. Normally I'm reviewing beer in the morning. But we got a really wet, rainy day tomorrow. And when I'm out in that conservatory, on a really wet, rainy day, the rain and the wind is banging on the roof and it's loud and I just thought to myself, I won't do it tomorrow morning, I'll do it Sunday night instead. Nice and quiet, in the kitchen. We haven't done a beer review in the kitchen for ages, have we? Aroma on this fantastic looking beer then. Whoa, that is rich. Loads of chocolate, coffee, caramel, roasted malts coming. Had me coming through. I've had a couple of lagers before this. And the lagers just popping back to say hello a little bit. Chocolate, coffee, caramel, rich. There's a little bit of raisin and plum and fig and prune. There's no light bleeding through this Imperial Stout whatsoever. Shall we dive in? Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Trav. Oh, and again, it hit me for a second time. I love that about Imperial Stouts. I was just about to pick the can up and pour more beer in the glass. I was just digesting the first initial hit of flavour, which was a level of sweetness, a level of kind of chocolate and coffee and caramel. And then as I went to pick the can up, it hit the second wave of flavour, hit me. The roasted malt, the bitter roasted flavours, the plum, the fig, the prune from the hops in the beer, just smashed me around the chops. And if I had the can in my hand, I reckon I would have dropped it. Unbelievable flavour, really incredible stuff. Look at it. Oh, just wonderful. Just wonderful. It's got like there's a level of dessertiness about it. There's a level of kind of almost milk chocolate, almost like a hot chocolate sense to it. But then again, there's a real big roastiness, a real big smash around the back of the palate with the roasted malts in the beer. It's like engine oil. It's like engine oil. It's big, it's thick, it coats your palate, it sticks there. The caramel flavours coming through. If you think of... So, if you're not familiar with roasted malt, if you're not familiar with all of these wonderful kind of malts in Imperial Stouts. So, I'll just explain really quickly. A lot of you do. Malt is generally light in colour. If you brewed with light malt, you generally get pale ales and lagers and golden ales. Less golden ales, more kind of lagers and pale ales. You're using pale malts to make pale ale. What happens is, when the brewer wants to make a roasted Imperial Russian Stout beer, is that they actually roast the malt. A bit like a coffee bean is green. And then they roast it, and of course it roasts to a dark black-brown colour, and that's the colour you get in your coffee. Very much the same thing with malt. They roast the malt. And when you roast the malt, it goes black. And instead of getting like biscuity, light... I mean, for goodness sake, it's a bit like putting your toast in the toaster. If you put your toast in the toaster and you just toast it a little bit, you're going to get light kind of bready flavours. If you burn your toast, very similar thing. You're going to get more of a burn, maybe a bit of ash, maybe a bit of a burny bitterness on the toast. You can tell what I'm going with this. When you roast malt, you encourage flavours of bitter dark chocolate, like biting dark chocolate, that bitterness, or coffee, or a bitter kind of coffee. Very similar flavours come through when you use roasted malt. But there's a little bit of caramel sweetness in it as well. All of these things come together. All of these things come together. If you think of coffee, if you think of dark chocolate, if you think of caramel, they all are big, thick, creamy kind of mouthfeels, aren't they? A big latte. Creamy, rich mouthfeel. Dark chocolate, when you're chewing it and biting it and sucking on that lovely bitter flavour, you're getting a creamy mouthfeel at the same time. Same with the sweet caramel. All of these things lend themselves so well to Imperial Stout. All of them lend themselves so well to Russian Imperial Stout. That's why they brew it. That's why it's brewed. That's why it looks the way it does. I mean, look at it. Look at that. It looks amazing. Aroma, plum and fig and prune. And that's another fun fact as well. I'll talk about the hops. The brewer is probably using a combination of New Zealand, Australian or American hops. When you make an IPA, those hops, passion fruit, mango, grapefruit, orange peel, fleshy blood orange. When you add those same hops to a roasted stout, the hops clash with the roasted malt and it gives more of a kind of a darker berry flavour. So plum and fig and prune. Amazing. Amazing. Beer will never, ever cease to amaze me. Love the stuff so much. Love the complexity of it. Look at that. Amazing. Right, dark and thick, our 2022 Imperial Stout is reminiscent of old-timey chocolate milk, where they used to melt bars down and add cream right into the cauldron. Built upon this sweet base are layers of heavy chocolate, coffee and balancing booze on the back end. It is a bit warming as the beer goes down, not mentioned that yet. The fourth beer to be released upon the world in our straight Imperial Stout series is a nod to the skeleton rider Death, wielding his sheath while riding upon the pale horse. He is the fourth and final of the fourth horseman of the apocalypse. All hail the Imperial Stout. Deeds Brewing Company. I've had loads of Deeds Brewing Company beers. They are absolutely smashing it. They are based in Victoria, Australia. Proudly independent since 2012. So they have, it sounds like they have added this kind of like base milk chocolate, which you definitely get. But I like all of that lovely bitterness on the back end. Love that bitterness on the back end. It's a fantastic example of a Russian Imperial Stout. I'm going to rate it. Smells incredible. Tastes incredible. Great lacing on the glass. Great head retention for a Russian Imperial Stout. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.